Gonna apologize right at the top of this video that I filmed all of my down shots and my little microphone was not turned on, so I apologize if it is less than stellar audio, but I hope that you will forgive me. Without any further ado, guys, let's jump into today's video. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shanna, and if you are new here, we're a homeschooling family of 4. We are 9.5 years into our homeschool journey, and we have a child who is knocking on high school. And this video is going to be about Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts Level 5, the Magic Lens Level 1 that we are using for our 8th grader. Let's go. Guys, before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. Like I said, this video is one of a 2-part series covering language arts from Michael Clay Thompson for my 8th grader. We are in the level 5, which is the Magic Lens level 1. There are, I think, 2 Magic Lens levels. And actually beyond this, we only have 2 levels to go before she is officially kind of out of the Michael Clay Thompson realm of language arts. This is the 6th level that I have used, and I, with my youngest, have actually cycled back through the first 3 levels. So I'm using those again with her. So it's my second go round. So there's a lot of kind of reasons and experience for why I do the things that I do. If you would like to know how we use it as far as timing and everything like that, I do have a graphic that I'm going to be inserting into this video a couple times. I will try to talk about it as I have the specific video or specific books on the table. One video is going to be grammar and vocabulary because they're so meaty, and the other video will be the writing portion, poetics, and literature. So this video is about grammar and vocabulary, and that is because they are so meaty and they're so important too, as you know, going into those big standardized tests that are going to help determine scholarships and placements and things like that as we do get to and through high school. And high school is rapidly coming for us. I've got a whole nother video about that I'm actually going to be sharing really, really soon. Now, if you want to know my thoughts on writing, I have that video coming up later this month. I also have, I think right before this was 2-part series on Michael Clay Thompson Level 2. I do have videos about the program up in the corner that covers how to order it, ways to use it, all of that for a level. And I also do have a full Michael Clay Thompson playlist on this channel. So if you want anything beyond the upper 2 most levels, I've got it. I've talked about it. It's here on the channel, and sometimes more than once, because like I said, I am cycling back through. So without any further ado, let's jump over. We're going to get a look inside grammar and inside the vocabulary portion of Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts Level 5, the Magic Lens Level 1. Let's go. Okay, this is one part of a 2-part series on Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts Level 5, the first Magic Lens level. I think it's level 5. Is it level 5 or is it level 4? I think it's level 5. I always get myself confused. I think it's level 5. We are halfway through the year. And I know that this is a big ticket item. I have a whole videos discussing the logistics of it, how to order it, the pricing, all the options, yada, yada. This video ain't that, okay? I will insert a graphic that tells you how we're using this program because I do not follow the instructions. I do not do as I am told. And it is unlikely that I'm going to start now because this works really well for us. We found our stride and we're figuring it out. So this video is going to cover the grammar and the vocabulary. The other part of this video will be covering literature, writing, and poetry. Okay, so this video is grammar and vocabulary. So I'm going to start with a look at the vocabulary. Now, this level and every level beyond, I think level 3, they don't have flashcards for the STEM words, which I would love, and it would make our lives a lot easier. However, by the time that the kids are done with this level alone has some, I don't remember, 300 to hundreds of STEM words that the kids are expected to know. And that is just STEMs, okay? So that's not even like full words. It is a lot. It is insane, okay? So something that we are doing is I'm having the girls write their words in these journals for each week. And then also Also, going ahead, and we have added Quizlet, the app, because people have made flashcard lists, and then they can just practice on the app for that kind of like flashcardy style thing. These are the tests. They're so hard and complicated. As you can see, there's only ever 50 words on here, but like I said, by the end of this, they've got hundreds of words. So they really have to know them all and know them well. And that is where we have struggled a bit. So these you can print off. Inside this book here, there is a download website with a code that lets you print off all assessment materials. It lets you download it as a PDF and then print off the assessment materials. Journal we bought extra. These I printed off and bound with my disc binding. And then Quizlet, the app, okay? So let's look inside. Now you will see instructor manual is always thicker than the student manual because there's just more the instructor needs to know. This has a lot of lists, 30 lists, so it's more than we've ever done before. And there's a lot of information in here and a lot of stuff that you can do. There's a lot of directions you can take it. There's a lot of ways that you can use this. Vocabulary is very, very important to many aspects of life, but being able to have a robust vocabulary, or at least pick out stems and things like that, is going to serve them when they come to things like SATs, college entrance, if they're going into anything medical, scientific. These things are going to come up. Now, let me show you kind of the aspects of a lesson, right? So we've got literally just a word list, and we will read them together. We've got a STEM close-up. And then there's word within the word sentences. I don't always read all of these. I do sometimes. Most of this page we won't go over. We will read the fun facts because I love that Greek and Roman history is incorporated in the vocabulary. I just always love it so much. I think it's really fun. There's always like a timeline. It's a little bit of history kind of crossover. I think it's interesting and enjoyable. I like that the kids' books are in color because I wish I could get the instructor manuals in color. So analogies, we started focusing heavily on analogies because, again, SATs, college, those things are coming up. And then we'll read these kind of like little fun notes. And then the classic words are also really important to me because I want her to see the use of these bigger words.
This is where my microphone died. Okay, so as you can see, the classic words are from classic literature. Now, if I scroll through to the back, you can see there is the test, as well as the answer keys. There are mystery spellings, word within the words, flip side challenges. There are the actual test and the answer key, as well as the flip side tests. And then something that we have absolutely loved. One, I love that they include the explanation of the analogies, like the reasoning behind them in the book. I find that that's incredibly helpful, especially for understanding the different patterns and the different way that analogies can work. But then also there are mystery questions, and she absolutely loves the mystery questions. And the mystery questions are basically usually a yes/no question, like could, whatever be something else. Oh, here we go. Okay. Is a clam's pseudopod a true leg? And then you have to kind of use your stems to understand why that would be a yes or a no. So this is the look at the word within the word student book. So as you can see, it's in color. She enjoys using bright colored highlighters, and I personally wish I could get the instructor manuals in color. That would make me happy, and I would pay extra for that. But so far, not an option. Now let's move right along into the Magic Lens Level 1, which is the grammar practice, grammar instruction for this 5th level of Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts. So I've got the instructor manual here. Again, it's got those printable assessments in the front. This is how it is broken down, is 4 levels, I guess. So 4 parts, but that's not exactly how I use it. And that's okay. I do like the bubble explanations. And then I'm showing right here how it does coincide with the lists from vocabulary. So it is important that if you're going to use one piece of this, that you understand that it is linked more so than anything I've experienced in the other levels. So just so that you do know that they do kind of build on each other because they're highlighting the vocabulary in the grammar, which I think is really great. I like that it overlaps. It is, I find quite helpful. So you will see in a minute when I go into a very deep dive in how we actually use this program. But the first 8 weeks are just the 8 parts of speech. That's how I've broken it up for our use of this book. And that works for us. Now you can see there's the 4-level sentence analysis. So the first level is the part of speech. The second level is identifying the parts of sentence. Now right here, I'm really deep diving the verbisection. And the verbisections is taking a verb and identifying it 9 ways, which completely still blows my mind. Very intense, very in depth. So anyways, back to what I was saying, the 4-level sentence analysis. So we did level 1, parts of speech, level 2, parts of sentence, level 3 is phrases, and level 4 is clauses. Now here it is. Look at this verbisection. I just cannot believe how incredibly in depth they analyze these verbs, and this is as meaty as we have gotten to this point. As you can see, the text is quite small on the page, and it really is moving into much more advanced instruction. Now, that is the Magic Lens Level 1 instructor manual. This is the student book, and then also the practice book. Now, your student's practice book is going to look just like this, each line for a level of analysis, and they can note important points about grammar, vocabulary, poetics, and writing down at the bottom. But essentially, this is what your students' practice will look like. And they will only do one of these every day. And in any important stem or vocabulary is bolded, but just one of them a day. And you don't start this until we don't start until about 13 weeks in. You're not recommended to start until after you've finished the Magic Lens. So until you are completed with grammar, they don't want you actually practicing the grammar, which I feel like makes really good sense. And then the instructor manual will just have all of the answers, essentially. So all of those lines will be filled in with the different aspects of the 4-level analysis. So this deep look has been just the grammar and just the vocabulary portion. Now, let's jump in, and I'm going to let you know how we actually use all this and how we put all of this together. So let's go. This little use snippet I'm going to put in both halves of my 2-part series for Michael Clay Thompson Level 5 because I think it can be really helpful. I do have other videos and a full Michael Clay Thompson playlist that I am sure have been linked up in the corner already. But as you will see from this graphic, I have laid out where we start. And we start with the Magic Lens Level 1, the word within the word, and advanced academic writing all at the beginning of the year. I also have my use plan overlaid on the screen. After we finish the Magic Lens Level 1, we will move into 1 practice sentence a day. And in the second semester, so starting in January, we will begin poetry and humanities. We also will read the 3 literature selections at the bottom of the page at leisure. Now, some people didn't find that this was helpful enough, so I broke it down even further. Michael Clay Thompson Level 5 Use Plan. Okay, so this is how I have found success with the program. They do offer you a guide when you purchase the full homeschool package. However, I didn't care for their schedule and it doesn't work for us. And so I just want to use this not to tell you how you should use it, but to tell you that if you invest a little energy in adapting it, you can find great success. I break it up into chapters, but it's not always chapters. It's kind of like a lesson or a part. And I do try to explain that more with the graphic on the left, explanation on the right. Okay, so for the Magic Lens Level 1, which is the grammar portion, which my children are incredibly familiar with, this is kind of recapping and also a little bit of a more deep dive into aspects of grammar. For example, in Magic Lens Level 1, she got into verbisections, I think it was 9-part verbisections, which is not something we've ever done before. The book has 4 parts. Okay, so the parts are described in just a moment, but the first 10 vocabulary lists from the vocabulary portion, the word within the word, align to this book, okay? Here is how we used it. We would read aloud, she would do the activities alone, and we would discuss anything at the end of the week if we needed to like go over the activities and check and make sure she got them right, if she had any questions. Part 1, I did each part of speech 1 week. So that aligned with the first 8 vocabulary lists for the first 8 weeks. Part 1, practice sentences, finished the following week. So at the end of the week, I was just like, great, do these practice sentences and we'll look over them the following week while we were reading part 2. Part 2, parts of sentence in 1 week. We read it over 4 days. And then the part 2 practice sentences, she finished the following week. Part 3 is phrases, and we read this in 1 week with the day breaks by the types of phrases. And this Part 3 aligns with vocabularies weeks 9 and 10. And then again, she'd do the part 3 practice sentences the following week. Part 4 is clauses. We read it in 1 week. And then after this, I did not have her do the clauses in this book. I went ahead and just moved her into the next book, which as you can see on this page is grammar practice. So for practice 1, and it is I don't stress over completion. I don't stress that we do all 100 of the included sentences. We do not start this until we are 13 weeks into our school year. And she just does 1 4-level sentence analysis per day for the 4 days of our school week. That is it. Okay. And that is after we finish Magic Lens Level 1. Now, moving into vocabulary STEM words. Okay. So the vocabulary, the word within the word 1. Again, there are 30 lists and I plan my school week for about 34 weeks. We are doing 1 list per week. It is a lot of words. We do not do every activity. We just do what we find valuable. And this is how we do this. On Monday, we will read the list. We will read the STEM close-up. And we will read the sentences. Okay. She has a word journal that she writes the stems in. On Tuesday, we read all the historical info in the chapter. So every single notation under a picture, every timeline, everything. We read everything historical in the chapter on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we will read the analogies, mystery questions, notes, classic words, and we'll read them aloud and she'll take an opportunity to answer and then we'll discuss. On Thursday, she studies and she practices. We've found all of these flashcard lists on Quizlet. Somebody's already made them. It's already there for you. So it's an amazing app she can use on her phone or on her tablet. It's really handy and it's already made. On Friday, she will do the list test, and the tests are cumulative. So it is quite a meaty bit of it. Now, we do a 4-day school week, but she has chosen to not try to cram the test into her school week, and she will do it the last day of the week, and that's fine. And that makes her happy, and that brings her joy, and I don't care. So there you go. Now, writing, Advanced Academic Writing 1. Again, we start this at the beginning of the year. The book has 5 parts. I decided based on our school schedule that I like to keep that each part would get 6 weeks because that suits our schedule. So part 1, we just read. We read every day, stopping where it made sense to stop for the day. If there was if it was 3 or 4 pages, that made sense. If it was 5 or 6, then that made sense. It's fine. We just kind of broke it up as we saw fit over the course of 6 weeks, getting that entire part 1 read, and we were done about late September. Part 2 is her first paper, and the first paper was the student writes the first paper, and it is a single source. And I decided that I wanted this due by November because, again, I had divided it up into what we were already doing and what already worked for our schedule. So part 2 was the student wrote a single source paper, and that was due by November. Part 3 was the second paper, which is a multiple works cited paper. And I had that due in January. I was thinking by the end of the year, but we had an early vacation. And so it just made more sense to do that. So due in January. Part 3 was the third paper, a revolutionary character, due by spring break. And then part 4, the last paper, an abstract concept, due by the end of the year. And that is how we broke up our writing portions. Now, poetry. Poetry is kind of standalone. And so what I did is I looked at how many chapters it had, how many parts, whatever. And we put that at the start of the second semester. So the start of our spring semester. It has 7 chapters, 1 chapter per week, and then finishing with an assessment for an 8th week. Start in the 2nd semester and then just read the chapter aloud together over 2 days, and then the student completes any poetry lab or activity alone by the end of the week. That's it. It's very simple. Literature. So every level has 3 books, like a small, medium, large. I don't remember how many chapters there are, and I don't give them a timetable for completing this other than like be done by the end of the year. I let them, if they choose, we can read it aloud, or they can read it on their own. My students have very different preferences on this, and if they stick to about a chapter a week, then they do pretty well. They stay on pretty well on track. I've never once used the instructor guide for this. What I do is I will read it over summer once we get the book packages in, and do that before giving it to my learner, and then I can discuss with them as they go. Even if it's something I've read, it's just sort of like a refresher. Now, like I point out, we own these books, but I like these versions specifically and they make me happy. So this is how we use this. This will be the most in-depth that I will go into any of this, because I'm not going to go create like a spreadsheet or something like that when it's not something I use for myself and we're most of the way through the year. So this is how we use it. And that's it. I'm not telling you how you should or shouldn't use it. I just want you to know that it is adaptable, that it is flexible, and that it is easy to use.
Guys, I hope that you found this helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. If this video didn't cover something that you do want to know, check out that playlist, because I'm certain I've already covered it. If not, please reach out. I'm super happy to share. I'm very passionate about the Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts program, because I feel like it has served us so well as a homeschool family. It has really helped to foster my kids' love of the word. And I feel like that has led to great success when it does come to their output. So the writings that they are putting out, the anxiety that they don't have surrounding language arts, the joy that they find from being able to jump into these bigger subjects in a more meaty way, and the fact that it is just not suffocating. There's not busy work, it's quite enjoyable, and we truly, truly love it as a family. And again, I am incredibly passionate about it. I don't think it gets enough love, especially from the secular homeschool community. So guys, if anything at all you need, right down below. Bye.